Brenna looked over the green fields and pastures of cattle with a smile. The small village of wooden buildings were quaint and lovely. The people she had met here were kind and generous. The Hendricksons had taken her in and just let her stay in their humble home, which they had built with their own hands. They were a loving people, just a joy to be around. How strange it all was, how sudden it seemed. It had been a moment of desperation which brought her here. The Earth had been struck by an asteroid, and all life was soon going to be extinct. With seemingly nothing left to lose, she locked herself in the experimental time-warping wormhole device in the laboratory. She set the dial back for the distant past. She had hoped to live out her life sometime long before the asteroid harkened the end of the world. Only after she had locked herself in the chamber, with the cold winds of asteroid collision cutting like daggers across the planet, had she realized the course was set wrong. The machine wasn't set to arrive in the past, but rather a distant future. So when the portal opened, she expected fully to be swallowed up by the nothingness of space, or devoured by a destroyed, long-dead world decaying. Instead, she walked out into this beautiful landscape and this little village called Manchester, and met the Hendricksons. Brenna couldn't help but marvel at the world she had discovered. Not only did this small part of the planet remain habitable, not only did humanity survive, but it was idyllic. These people lived a simple life in harmony with their livestock and the earth under their feet. But they weren't ignorant by any means. They had told her of a nearby tech center that she would see on market day, where there was advanced manufacturing for simple goods, medicines, all the benefits of high-tech civilization, everything at the tech center. The human race had simply learned to not let all the technology interfere with their daily lives or come between them and their fellow man. It was all Brenna could ever have dreamed of. It was utopia. "It's time," Johann Hendrickson called to her and waved. This handsome young man, Hendrickson's oldest son, seemed smitten with her. Brenna liked that. She liked him. "I'm coming," she called back. "I'm ready." Brenna was happy to help with this family chore. They loaded up all the manure collected from the pasture into a big slop wagon. They added their own waste and the waste from under the outhouse and the kitchen. Brenna didn't know why yet, but figured it had to be some sort of composting or recycling. All the people of the village did this, as did villagers from nearby Chelsea and Dexter. They would load up their slop wagons on market day and head to the tech center. Not long later, the horses pulled the wagons up to a halt, and the slop wagons were emptied into a large slurry. All the families from all the villages nearby were there, and as they emptied their wagons, the feces sped along down the metallic slurry and disappeared underground near a single looming metal and glass tower, the tech center. At the base of the center were all manner of large containers and household items on the other side. Apparently these things were manufactured here somehow. It was a simple economy that made Brenna smile. They brought all their waste for recycling or fertilization or whatever it was, and they got the basics of life they needed. If you needed a skillet, it was there. If you needed some tableware, it was there. Nice. As the day went on, people from all the villages brought out musical instruments. There was a nice set of bagpipes moaning, several fiddles and an accordion. The villagers mingled and danced. Johann and Brenna danced and looked into one another's eyes. Finally, a man she didn't recognize from another village wanted to cut in. "Sorry, but I have to be neighborly," Johann smiled and bowed out. Brenna took to dancing with her new partner. Hospitality was important here. Dancing away a little bit from the others, he pulled her aside. "Look, I really need to tell you something in private." They went around the outside edge of the tech center, out of sight. "I'm a rebel agent," he confessed. "I've heard the rumor that you have come from the past." Brenna had heard from the Hendricksons that there were terrorists running around, even in this idyllic setting. Rebels. Despicable. Despicable, she spat at him. "You're just despicable." He took it in stride. You say that because the world seems so beautiful and peaceful and wonderful. Oh, believe me, I understand that. Brenna was surprised. Then why does anybody want to spoil it? He said, well, you need to know the whole story. She waited and decided to listen. That asteroid collision you escaped from was not an accident. Neither was our survival. An alien intelligence that is identified only as the Omnibus caused the collision. Since that time, they have maintained humanity here in this habitable pocket like some sort of game preserve. They do take our waste and other materials, but they have machines all over the uninhabitable parts of the globe, sucking the nutrients and biomatter out of the soil and the oceans. It, or they, whatever Omnibus is taking everything off the planet for its own use. Brenna was suddenly struck by the brick wall. It's sucking the world dry. We are a species living in a game preserve, dependent on this thing's goodwill, he nodded, as if it had goodwill. Brenna thought about it. I'm from the past. What can I possibly do? Even though you're from the past, he explained, your technological savvy is far greater than anyone in this time. She took him by the hand and said, I understand. You want to reassert humanity's independence. You want to be free of this tyranny. We want to be deciding our own destiny again. I understand. She was overcome with internal dissension as she took him by the hand. She led him over in the direction of the crowd and the Hendricksons. But she loved this idyllic world, this idyllic life. Even though it was all based on outside control, on alien domination, it was a gilded cage, but gilded. She pulled along her newfound friend, and when she got to the middle of the dancing villagers, she made her final decision. This man is a rebel agent, she cried out in the midst of them. He tried to recruit me to be a rebel. Everyone turned and the music stopped. Johann grabbed the man with his powerful farmer's hands and strangled him to death on the spot. Then, with the help of his family and others and Brenna, they drug and shoved his lifeless body over the wall into the slurry of feces, and it was over. Just like that, the music resumed. The villagers went on with their dancing. Johann and Brenna danced the evening, staring into each other's eyes, away. They were happy in this world. They felt extraordinarily blessed to be sharing it together. And sometimes at night, Brenna would sneak out to look at the sky. She would watch the orbs of light that signified shipments of nutrients from Earth to Omnibus. Sometimes she would pray and thank Omnibus for what she had here. Whatever it is, could it hear her? She hoped that it did, and knew how much she loved it.